Sadece bir damla, uçsuz, bucaksız gökyüzünün boşluğuna savrulmuş, sarhoş, başıboş bir yağmur damlacığı. Tek insan neye yarar? Azgınca uğuldayan fırtınalar altında, kuşatınca onu okudurgan sancılar, dayanınca bağrına kanlı elleri yeryüzünün. Tek insan ne yapabilir sinip gizlenmekten başka? Yaşayan en yüce güç, en aşılmaz barikat halkın örgütüdür. Tıpkı bir okyanus gibi kurumayan, örs gibi, çekiç gibi şekil veren demire, kabaran dalgalarla karşılayan, uğuldayan rüzgarlı halkın örgütüdür. Gücü güce ulanır, yükselir, derinleşir, ayınır, dayanıklanır. Denizde bir damla olunca insan, al ve savur benim de yüreğimi. Ufkuna kat, ateşlendir, şekil ver bakışlarıma. Beni yalçın güzelliklerle kuşandır, sarsılmaz yiğitliklerle donat. Sevgimi yenilmez, sevincimi ulaşılmaz kıl düşmana. Öfkemi bile gürleştir, bilgimi rüzgarınla aydınlat. Örgütüm, al beni halkımla yeniden yarat.
The story of the musical group Yorum starts in 1985 with what happened in the land their music was born in. Group Yorum and its music, art, films, concerts, or their cultural idyll center cannot be separated from the oppression, violence, and injustice of capitalism the land was forced to with a US-supported military coup. Art is the expression of people. It reflects the daily life, the social concerns, the social breaks, dreams, disappointments, love, hope, and of course, pain. Group Yorum represents the hopes of the people of Turkey. They sing in Turkish, Kurdish, and other languages that are spoken in the land. They sing in languages banned in Turkey, like Kurdish. Although around 25% of the population identifies themselves as Kurdish, their identity is suppressed, their language banned, their culture cancelled, their lives are under heavy military occupation, and Group Yorum not only gives a voice to the voiceless in Turkey, they also provide hope for these people. The opening poem we heard is a poem of hope. That is how Group Yorum opens their concerts, with a message of hope. Not only because of its words, but the poem reflects how a people could get over the issues that surround their daily lives. Group Yorum believes the social ills, oppression, exploitation, hunger, torture, killing in the hands of the police, the military, unnecessary wars, pointless occupations, banning of people's languages, banning of historical events like the Armenian genocide will be only resolved in the hands of the people, given the chance. However, that chance is never given. That chance is only obtained with people's organizations that fight for the good and is the enemy of the bad. The group sings, plays, dances to inspire the people, to hold hands and organize to beat the capitalist exploitation and imperialist oppression. The opening poem they read reflects and is inspired by Bertolt Brecht's poem, All of Us or None. Yorum takes the theme and expands it. Who, they ask, who and what is a single human being under the wrath of nature? Nothing. He is like a raindrop free-falling, weak, defenseless, alone. But only when that raindrop reaches the endless ocean, then he has reached trillions of other rain or water drops like himself. And suddenly, that weak, worthless individual has the power to change the universe. It is only with the power of the people can individuals become their full potential, not despite others. This theme is a common line in nearly all socialist circles. Bertolt Brecht uses it in his inspiring poetry, where he challenges the capitalist and idealistic approach of individuality, caring only for yourself, greed, trying to gain success at the expense of all others. His poem, All of Us or None, has a message that is so current in the turmoil our society is experiencing today. The universal message of Brecht or Group Yorum gives voice to the exploited, downtrodden masses who are fighting in the streets of Istanbul, Ferguson, Minneapolis, Paris, or Mumbai. Let's remember the poem that inspired Group Yorum to join hands and fight together for a brighter socialist future. This is a poem as if it was written for today, that inspires the Black Lives Matter and the white folks who joined the fight against racism, police brutality, slavery, and ignorance that feeds more racism. No, blacks can't fight racism alone. And no, whites can't be free if the Black and Native Americans are not free. Either all or none. So let's read that poem by Bertolt Brecht. Slave, who is it who shall free you? Those in deepest darkness lying. Comrade, these alone can see you. They alone can hear you crying. Comrade, only slaves can free you. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. One alone his lot can't better, either gun or fetter. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. You who hunger, who shall feed you? If it's bread you would be craving, come to us, we too are starving. Come to us and let us lead you. Only hungry man can feed you. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. One alone his lot can't better, either gun or fetter. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. Beaten man, who shall avenge you? You on whom the blows are falling. Hear your wounded brothers calling. Weakness gives us strength to lend you. Comrade, come, we shall avenge you. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. One alone his lot can't better, either gun or fetter. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. Who, O wretched one, shall dare it? He who can no longer bear it. Counts the blows that arm his spirit, taught the time by need and sorrow, strikes today and not tomorrow. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. One alone his lot can't better, either gun or fetter. Everything or nothing, all of us or none. Turkey fell under fascism with a military coup on September 12, 1981. Entire democratic rights, unionization, human rights, organizations, meetings, leafleting, even walking in groups, more than 3 were banned by the pro-US, pro-capitalist military regime. More than 650 people were arrested. More than 1 million leftists, Kurds, people with different religions than Islam were tortured. 210,000 criminal cases were opened up for 230,000 people who spent long years under torture and detention due to these cases against them that lasted years. The fascist prosecutors demanded executions for more than 7,000 people. 517 people had to defend themselves from prosecutors' demand of death by hanging. 50 victims were executed by hanging. This doesn't even include those who were shot on the streets. One of the murder victims, Erdal Eren, was underage and could not be executed. However, pro-US head of the military regime infamously said, "So, what shall we do with him? Should we feed him instead of hanging him?" Even though Eren's so-called crime could not be proven, another court decided to increase his biological age so that the Turkish military court could hang him. And they did. 14,000 people were expelled from Turkish citizenship. 100,000 defendants were tried for being members of some so-called illegal organizations. The entire constitution was changed with votes from both conservatives and the liberals, as human and democratic rights of the people, especially of the Kurdish people, were taken away. The Turkish military even gave themselves lifelong immunity from prosecution on any crime they had committed. They felt they had a free hand because they were working for the bigger dog, the US, and with that support they were safe. The entire operation was well known in the US and was a necessary step to push Turkey into a dependency relationship with imperialism and free market capitalism. Turkey had been a loyal ally and a fellow traveler on the path of imperialism, but in 1981, it had to integrate body and soul to imperialism with brutal force that removed all obstacles in front of the free market capitalist system against the people, and that depended only on imperialism for survival. The parliament was shut down, as US supplied tanks and military equipment was used to imprison an entire nation. Only the big corporations closely linked to US businesses, capitalist bosses, the capital, and the military was free. The price paid by the people was very heavy. Women especially targeted by the Islamic regime. Group Yorum was born maybe as an artistic way of responding to such inhumane conditions of the people under fascism. Instead of singing empty love songs, they combined love with fight for freedom. How could you, after all, have love if you were not free? How could someone experience love if one is not free, is hungry, destitute, and all his loved ones on shackles, visible or invisible? The military coup of 1981 banned more than 1,000 films. Journalists were imprisoned, charged with treason, and for belonging to an illegal organization, a charge still being used by the current Turkish government of AKP to imprison any and all of their critics, including Group Yorum. The number of years the military prosecutors demanded the journalists should serve was over 1,000 years for exposing exploitation, injustice, and imperialist relationships. More than 4,000 teachers were fired and condemned to hunger. All this so that the US imperialism could grab the resources, the wealth created by the people. And the Turkish military, Turkish state was appointed to police over the workers, so nobody would have the courage to oppose such theft. The USA and the markets of the capitalists were given a free hand to take whatever they wanted. Group Yorum had a response, though. As the reaction of the audience shows, the imperialist exploitation of the USA is not welcome in Turkey. Group Yorum brought this anger to the stages. Since the changes brought on by the US-supported coup, the mining rights, forests, electronics, telecommunication, postal services, government-owned sugar, paper, glass processing units were all literally handed over to imperialists, pennies to the dollar. The loss of quality of life, loss of freedoms, loss of free education, loss of social benefits, loss of retirement benefits, all to feed the US, was paid by the people of Turkey. Turkey is a NATO country. It is forced to buy billions of dollars of weapons from the NATO countries, but mostly from the USA. Turkish army is nothing but a deterrent force, as verified in the bilateral agreements and NATO documents, to delay any attack on Europe or the US forces for about 10 minutes. This relationship is a taboo subject in Turkey, and the Turkish state does not allow anyone knowing or questioning this relationship. If someone does, they are immediately charged as being a terrorist or belonging to a terrorist organization, as they have charged the musical group band Group Yorum. This is why the Group Yorum's open challenge to US relationship in Turkey gains an extra importance in the light of all this. So the music of the band was influenced by the popular Latin American music. 4 university students formed the band in 1985. As many other college students, they too were leftists who saw the problem of their society stemming from the forced capitalism upon the people. They were born into a society that carried the legacy of a broad and deep anti-imperialist tradition by the people. This, of course, was enough for the Turkish governments to accuse the music group of being a terrorist organization or supporting one. Although the group was influenced by Latin music, they had their roots in traditional Turkish and Kurdish folk music. What came out of this fusion was a mixture of revolutionary themes, Kurdish rhythms, Turkish melodies, or other combinations of such. Their first album was released in 1987, called Sıyrılıp Gelen, Slipping Out and Coming. The lyrics go like this. A pale moon is making its round over the city every night. Every night it walks its path like a wizard traveler. As the burn of a spring, everything is covered under a quiet silence, and time is being tossed around like a torn sheer curtain. Listen to the sound of the waters now, the whispers of the forest. The breast of the mountains are splitting, all to calm down a love. And your eyes are upon the distant mountain, searching for something. Silently the heart awaits and sharpens as it waits. It is obvious that over the mountains, the seas and lakes, the sunrise is slipping and coming out. It is obvious that the time is near, the time that will shake up the entire nature and life. Mixing environmental concerns with social issues was new in the 1980s in Turkey. A new environmental movement was being born, and a new and much needed interest in ecology was gaining importance. Group Yorum decided to use themes of nature, but drew parallelisms of silence of nature with the silence that had fallen on the people after the fascist 1981 US-supported coup. However, as always, hope slips out of their song, with the sun resembling the people's movement rising from the deadly but potent silence, since the time has come now. The song and the album became the hope of the people, voicing that hope is near in the dark 1980s days.
Suların sesini dinle şimdi, ormanın fısıldayışlarını, yarılıyor dağların göğsü, bir aşkı dinlendirmek için ve gözleri uzak yamaçlarda aranıp dururken bir şeyleri sessiz ve sakin beklemekte, bekledikçe bileylenen yürek.
Belli ki dağların, denizlerin ve göllerin üzerinde. Belli ki dağların, denizlerin ve göllerin üzerinde.
Sıyrılıp gelmektedir seher, belli ki yakındır. Sıyrılıp gelmektedir seher, belli ki yakındır. Belli ki yakındır doğayı ve hayatı sarsacak saat. Belli ki yakındır doğayı ve hayatı sarsacak saat.
Yorum was the first group in Turkey to include a Kurdish song in their album. This irritated the Turkish state, since even thinking about using Kurdish language openly would be enough reason to be shot. The group's album Cesaret, meaning courage, was loaded to trucks from Istanbul to be sent to Diyarbakir, the city considered to be the center of Kurds in Turkey. However, the army units learned through its intelligence that the cassettes were being secretly transported, and they stopped the truck on the road. All cassettes of Cesaret were unloaded and fired upon with automatic rifles and destroyed.
Reşo dağların biri düze inmez kederi. Yol yokuş yolcu çıplak, bilinmez mi nedeni? Reşo dağların biri düze inmez kederi. Yol yokuş yolcu çıplak, bilinmez mi nedeni? Getir, doğruyu söze getir. Yangın ol şu dağlarda, eğriyi dize getir. Düşsüzü düşe getir, doğruyu söze getir. Yangın ol şu dağlarda, eğriyi dize getir. Reşo dağların biri düze inmez kederi. Yol yokuş yolcu çıplak, bilinmez mi nedeni? Reşo dağların biri düze inmez kederi. Yol yokuş yolcu çıplak, bilinmez mi nedeni? Reşo acı takışır, isyanı dara seçende alaylara karışır. Reşo dağların biri düze inmez kederi, yol yokuş yolcu çıplak dinmez mi nedeni. Reşo dağların biri düze inmez kederi, yol yokuş yolcu çıplak dinmez mi nedeni.
Well, welcome to the second part of this program where we are documenting the musical band Group Yorum from Turkey. In this part, we will concentrate on the more recent events surrounding the attacks on the group. As we previously mentioned, the group came to life in the dark days of 1985 when Turkey was still under the fascist 1981 coup and unbelievable human, civil, and democratic rights violations were the norm of the day. The band's album, Cesaret or Courage, which we listened to a few minutes ago, had been confiscated and destroyed by the Turkish army by firing rifles and real bullets at the cassettes for having a song in Kurdish. Yet this could not prevent the music from the band spreading like wildfire. As the group concentrated more on love, freedom, human experience, nature, democracy, and justice, it was no surprise that the Turkish government put them on the crosshairs. Group Yorum was now openly being charged for having links, being members of, and controlled by an illegal group, namely the DHKPC group. The DHKPC, or the leftist Revolutionary People's Liberation Party and Front, is a Marxist-Leninist group that came out of the 1970s struggles against imperialism and capitalism and for freedom. Being true to the tradition of the revolutionaries who dedicated their lives to the true independence of Turkey, DHKPC too struggles for the same cause. However, this demand for a full independence can be found in any leftist, socialist, even liberal arguments in Turkey. This analysis of independence comes from the understanding that although Turkey seems or appears to be independent, it is not really sovereign. Secret bilateral agreements between the US and Turkey, being a NATO member, does not allow Turkey to chart its own course. However, a forced-down capitalist system that binds even the capitalist class of Turkey to the world markets and prevents it from making decisions in its own interests hides the shackles set up by the so-called free market system. In order to satisfy first the bosses in the imperialist countries, then the local bosses, the workers of Turkey are super exploited, making not one, but two sets of bosses rich by working only at subsistence levels. Strong ties to the world banking and finance capital systems through IMF, the World Bank, and Wall Street means Turkey is bound by invisible chains while it appears free and independent. By restoring law and order enacted by the bosses and their military and the state, Turkish police and the army now have become forces not for the benefit of the Turkish Republic. By enforcing such oppressive laws against the workers, the unions, minorities, women, and the environmental movements, they are operating in the service of transnational corporations. Any strike, any demand for justice, any wage dispute immediately brings security forces against the workers, so the production on behalf of transnational corporations continue without interruption. In the 1990s, Turkish governments and the state were challenged to quell the workers' discontent, while groups affiliated with the socialists, revolutionaries, Group Yorum, and the DHKPC were gaining praise for attacking the US and NATO interests in the country. This gave the government, who was still trying to sell an anti-terror campaign to the people when it was attacking the Kurdish civilians in the East, a good excuse to target the music band for being affiliated with the revolutionary organization. After all, weren't they demanding democracy, justice, equality, and independence? The same demands the so-called terrorist organizations, the socialists, and the communists were voicing. The government would hit two birds with one stone. First, eliminate Group Yorum under the anti-terror law. Second, increase the paranoia in the masses that the terrorists were inside us, thus making the citizens accept the increasing oppression by the state forces. With this plan, the state would attack the DHKPC while targeting Group Yorum as well. The revolutionary movement had taken revenge on many retired military or intelligence officers, all of whom were torturers of those incarcerated while they were employed by the Turkish government in the 1970s and 80s. These torturers, some of whom were in hiding and had changed their names, were punished by the organization in their retirements. The torturers had expected to retire peacefully, withdrawing from their state pensions and living secretly and anonymously within the society. Attacking both the leftist organizations and the band simultaneously would show that the claim of struggling for democracy and justice by the musicians was fake, and would show they had affiliation with the armed militants. However, this tactic also backfired, and this drew more people to the side of the band. Torturers are never respected anywhere. The government attacks escalated, yet Group Yorum persisted. The musical group at the face of government attacks became the top-selling musical band in the history of Turkey. When the government banned their cassettes and music, the street responded by demanding more of their albums. The group had captured the hearts of mostly the young listeners because their music represented resistance, hope, and a way out of the mess imperialism had forced upon their lives. Unemployed, poor, working class kids, students, regular people on the streets embraced the musicians. The government was supporting songs on nationalism, racism, war, and individualism. Group Yorum was singing about solidarity, cooperation, fighting back, a better world, true democracy, and true independence. For the Turkish government, this had to stop. The group members experienced more than 400 arrests and trials. Everything they did was closely followed by the government. More and more of their concerts were being banned by the governors. Nearly every album they released became the subject of investigation by the authorities. The music was subversive to the US bosses. The music was dangerous to their Turkish local authorities. Maybe this attack on music by the natural enemies of the masses was behind the other reason that brought the masses behind the band. Group Yorum was now the representative of the people, of the workers. Yorum's music had become their voice, their faces, their own music. Turkish governments do not take it kindly to being challenged in the streets. By trumping up charges, the group members started to get detained. In the meanwhile, taking their directive from the US criminal system advisors, Turkish officials decided to change the prison system in the late 1990s. The prisons in Turkey were built with wards, where the prisoners would live together in small groups, maintaining their human interaction and social relationships. Since the prisons were full of leftists, the government wanted to break this social interaction in the prisons, and with the help of the US advisors, built what is known as the F-type prisons. These new prisons were designed as isolation cells, where the prisoners would have minimal contact with the rest of the prison population. They thought they could break the leftist political prisoners by putting them in isolation. Designed for the political prisoners, the Turkish government hoped that with this new type of prisons and isolating the political prisoners, they would end the spread of intellectual education in the prisons and prevent the spread of the leftist ideology among the population. Most prisoners were becoming leftists in the prisons when the ward would hold discussions, book readings, educational sessions. And once they left the prison, they would spread the knowledge in the population at large. Disregarding the reports by the human rights organizations condemning the cell-type prisons, the Turkish administration built these prisons. However, a huge resistance against it, led by the socialists, leftists, and progressives in the prisons, gave way to heavy clashes. A demand of 19 items were given to the government to repeal the decision to transfer the inmates to F-type prisons by the political prisoners in the year 2000. When the government did not even respond, they started a hunger strike. After 45 days, the hunger strike turned into a death fast. The government that even had a left liberal party in its coalition decided to attack the inmates in the prison using the army. The military used 8 battalions and 37 companies to attack the prisons, trying to end the hunger strikes. They were accompanied by thousands of guards and police. They threw hand grenades, unknown chemical explosives, and 20,000 gas bombs to the prisoners. 28 prisoners and 2 soldiers lost their lives in this assault. Now, the hunger strike spread throughout the country, this time against the military war being waged on the prisoners. 122 people lost their lives in these death fasts. More than 600 prisoners permanently damaged their bodies and minds due to the hunger strikes. Group Yorum could not have stood silent at the face of such brutal attacks. They came out with a film showing the inhuman conditions brought on by the US prison system model. They produced several films on the subject that were shown around the world. The struggle for honor and to be treated humanely is the subject of Group Yorum's films. As shown by human rights groups around the world, isolation and cells amount to torture. Revolutionaries may give their life to fight for justice if needed. Not only in this film, that shows the inhumanity, but recently Group Yorum musicians have given their own lives for justice, humanity, and honor, as we shall see after the film.
Duvarları deler, gülüm güle gülüm, sevdamın közü, gülüm güle gülüm, güley can, güley can, güley can, güley can, gül gül, güley can.
Misafirlerimiz var Muharrem. Buyurun efendim.
Merhaba. Merhaba.
Hayırdır Muharrem? Kaçıyor muydun yoksa sandalyenin üstünden?
Yok ben kaçmıyorum da müdür bey. Güneş içeri girmeye çalışıyor da onu yakalayıp idareye vereyim diyorum.
Ha?
Merhaba Muharrem Bey. Merhaba. Biz İnsan Hakları Komisyonu'ndan geliyoruz. Müdür Bey, müsaade ederseniz yalnız görüşebilir miyiz?
Peki efendim. Ben odamdayım bir arzunuz
Teşekkür
olursa.
ederim.
Gidiyoruz.
Konuştuklarımız aramızda kalacaktır. Merak etmeyin. Rahat olabilirsiniz.
Ben şimdi daha da çok rahatsız oldum ama. Yani dışarı çıkarsınız da belki birkaç kişiye tecritten bahsedersiniz diye umuyordum.
Çok şakacısınız Muharrem Bey, çok. Biz de zaten tecrit ve kötü muameleyi araştırmak için, bu iddialar için buradayız.
Öyle mi? Ne güzel. Peki ne buldunuz bu tecrit ve kötü muamele iddiaları hakkında?
Yani Muharrem, ya sorun yok değil, tabii ki sorun var. Şimdi biz de bunları teker teker not alıyoruz. Senin de bir şikayetin varsa sen de söyle.
Ne şikayet? Siz beni neden ölüm orucundayım zannediyorsunuz?
Ben seni çok iyi anlıyorum Muharrem. Yani şimdi sen diyorsun ki bu odalar çok küçük.
Hücreler.
Canım ya oda hücre yani her neyse. Zaman zaman kötü muamele olabiliyor diyorsun.
İşkenceler.
İşte yani genel olarak oluyor bunlar diyorsun. Ya haberleşemiyorum diyorsun. Yalnız kalıyorum.
Tecrit ediliyoruz diyoruz.
Yani şimdi bunlar için kendini öldürmeye değer mi?
Siz benim kendimi öldürmeye çalıştığımı mı zannediyorsunuz?
Şimdi açlık da bir nevi insanı...
Yanlış biliyorsunuz. Yanlış biliyorsunuz. Ben kendimi öldürmeye çalışmıyorum. Ben bu hapishaneler var olduğu sürece bu hücrelerde işkence gören insanların kurtulması için çalışıyorum. Budur.
Yani şimdi ölümle öyle olmaz. Yani hayata kutsal diye bakmak lazım. Şimdi bu can, Allah'ın verdiği can değil mi? Şimdi ben bunu nasıl alabilirim ki? Bu günah.
Kaç yaşındasınız siz?
55, bunun konuyla ne alakası var?
Madem 55 yaşındasınız bana söyler misiniz siz? Bir insan ne için ölür?
Şimdi Allah korusun yani Allah gecinden versin tabii de...
Bir şey var canım yani en normali ecel.
Ecel yani ecel en normali. Tabii bunun yanında işte vatan için ölebilirsin, bayrak için ölebilirsin.
Din uğruna savaşıyor.
Din uğruna ölebilirsin. Yani cihat yani şehitlik mertebesi anlamında söylüyorum.
Vallahi böyle uzun bir liste için çok fazla yaşamışsınız ya. Ben de burada 2 maddelik listem için geç bile kaldığımı düşünüyorum.
2 madde ne 2 madde?
2 madde. Onur ve adalet. Çok iyi insansınız. İşkence yapmıyorsunuz ama işkenceyi izliyorsunuz. Bakın ne kadar güzel.
Ben bunu şiddetle reddederim. Ben izlemek değil, bakamam bile ben.
Ben de.
Ben burada karşında duruyorum. Bak, bak. Bak bu kollarıma. Bunları zorla serum basmaya çalışırlarken patlattılar damarlarımı. Bak. Bak buradaki morluğu görüyor musun? Sedye koymaya çalışırlarken tekmeden bu işkence değil mi şimdi? Hadi onu da geçtik. Tecritin kendisi başlı başına işkence değil mi?
Yok çok haklısın. Bu hiç kabul edilebilir bir şey değil. Ama bir de şeyi düşün Muharrem. Yani biz koğuş tipi hakkında rapor hazırladık. Orayı bir görsen insanlar tıklım tıklım balık istifi gibi yatmışlar. Böyle ne bir hijyen, ne bir havalandırma, kalorifer hiçbir şey yok.
Koğuşlardaki sağlıksız koşulları, insanları, hücreleri hapsederek mi çözüyorsunuz?
Yani şimdi sorun kalabalık olmakta değil. Geçen gün biz Bayrampaşa cezaevini gezdik. Adlilerin koğuşunu gezdik özellikle. Yani oraya da mafya hakim. Şimdi adliler bu durumdan rahatsızlar. Durum şimdi böyle tek kişilik odalar olunca baskı unsuru ortadan kalkıyor otomatikman.
Bizi niye tıktınız o zaman buralara? Mafyayı getirseydiniz.
Sizde de örgüt baskısı var.
Bak. Ben burada yıllardır tek başına yaşıyorum. Tamam mı? Her sabah sporumu yapıyorum. Kitap okuyorum. Mektup yazıyorum. Ölü borcundayım ben ya. Gidin ranzanın altına bakın. Belki oradan örgüt çıkar.
Muharrem sana birileri gelmiş doğru mu? Muharrem. Onlar kim Muharrem? Kim geldi?
Bu ne?
Telefon.
Şimdi odalarda serbest mi böyle telefon?
Dahiliyat.
Ne?
Böyle daha ucuz oluyor konuşması. Onun için kullanıyoruz. Neyse ben söyleyeyim de görüşümüz sırasında bizi rahatsız etmesinler fazla. Heyet geldi, heyet. Meclisten heyet geldi. Arkadaşlara da söyleyin. Selam ederim. Görüşürüz sonra.
Güzel, hoş, akıllıca. Burada tam izole değilsiniz galiba.
Ya nasıl böyle düşünüyorsunuz? Bütün bu durumlar burada tecritin olduğu anlamına gelir. Olmadığı anlamına mı gelir? Böyle yaratıcı şeyler de zaten yani böyle zor koşullarda hep gelişmemiş midir insanlık tarihi boyunca?
Evet, biz bu söylediklerinin üstünde düşüneceğiz Muharrem. Not ettik değil mi hepsini? Şimdi gidiyoruz biz ama bak. Ne olur rica ediyorum senden. Lütfen. Canına kıyma. Tamam mı?
Lütfen.
Siz hala orada mısınız ya? Neyse tamam, ben eylemimle bazı sorunlara ışık tutayım. Siz de bu sorunlara yoğunlaşın, bana değil.
İyi günler kardeşim.
İnsanlık onuru işkenceye yenecek! İnsanlık onuru işkenceye yenecek!
Kapat şunun ağzını. Haydi. Bir kadını açamadınız adamı.
Aç şunu. Aç. İstedik be.
Bilen de sen
Sağlık Kurumu'nun ağırlaştığı ancak tedaviyi kabul etmedikleri bildirildi.
Canım yoldaşlarım. Zorla müdahale edip beni durdurmaya çalışıyorlar. Buna izin vermeyeceğim. Yola koyulurken son nefesimi verme vakti geldiğinde kahramanım, neslim, şimdi ben şerefimle ölmenin doruğundayım mısraları dökülecek demiştim. İşte şimdi bunun vakti geldi. Çakmağa çakmadan önce neslimi söyleyeceğimi bilmenizi isterim. Çok şey yaşadık. Birlikte çok şey paylaştık. Paylaşılan değerleri güzelleştiren onun uğrunda ödenen bedellerdir. Şimdi paylaşılan güzellikler adına canımı verme, feda etme sırası bende. Hoşça kalın.
Eski şimdi ben şerefimle ölmenin doruğundayım. Eslim şimdi ben şerefimle ölmenin unutmadan geçmişi, unutmayın sözlerimi. Unutmadan geçmişi, unutmayın sözlerimi.
When this film was released, it was enthusiastically watched by more than 75,000 people. However, suddenly receiving the orders from the government, theaters shut down their screens and brought down the posters advertising the showing, even though initial payments had been taken for the event. People who insisted and hung the film posters were detained by the police. The police even raided the location where the film was being shot. At one point, what was shown in this film started to become the reality for the group. The Turkish state started closing all its venues, and all concerts of Group Yorum were banned. When banning the band proved to be inefficient and more followers flocked to their music and their message, the Turkish government started its most brutal attacks against the members. The group runs a cultural center. In this hall, music classes are held, choir practices, band practices, theatrical plays, literature nights, and film screenings are done. Students come here to learn music and to play musical instruments. İdil Cultural Center started to get raided frequently as the police tried scaring away the guests of the events, the students, and of course the owners, Group Yorum. In every raid, the police would break down the doors, windows, the entire furniture, and all of the musical instruments, including the piano. Whoever was in the music hall would be detained and taken to the police station for questioning. However, instead of giving up, the band members made a musical clip, played only with the instruments broken by the cops. To shut the band and their music, the Turkish state leveled the same charge it accuses all their critics of, being a member of a terrorist organization. Some members of the band even had a big reward on their head as they were declared wanted by the regime, so they had to leave the country for their safety. The group members were beaten mercilessly when they were detained in 2012. The police hit Selma Altın repeatedly on her ear until she lost all her hearing while tied with handcuffs. Her nose was also broken with police fists during her detention. Police knew Dilan Bağcı played the violin in the group, so she received extra treatment. The police made sure to break all her fingers to prevent her from ever playing the violin again. The police also crushed her hand by stepping and jumping on it. A theater actor in İdil Cultural Center, Bahar Ertürk, was kicked in the eye by a police and could not open her eyes for days. Other group members were arrested multiple times and endured similar tortures. Several members were detained but let go a few days later by the police in 2013. However, these detentions and arrests started to happen too frequently. İbrahim Gökçek, the bass player, was arrested and taken to prison on March of 2019. While few members, including Ibrahim's wife, were released, some of the members were kept incarcerated. Having been released, Ibrahim was arrested again later. He was again being accused of being a member of a terrorist organization, a charge they could not prove after multiple arrests and investigations. These constant arrests and releases forced some group members to protest the whole harassment by starting a hunger strike. In the May of 2019, they started the strike protesting the Turkish government's intimidation and harassment. In June, Ibrahim joined the hunger strike together with the group's singer Helin Bölek. The hunger strikers demanded the government to allow their concerts and let the defenders go free because none of the investigations had produced even a single item of evidence of their guilt. The Turkish court then found some secret witnesses who testified that they were insiders in the illegal organization DHKPC, and the defendants had participated in the affairs of the movement. Later, it came to light that the secret witness had been cooperating for the police and was being taken from court to court to provide his services as a witness in many other cases as well. However, other courts had found him unreliable and lying, and had his testimony labeled as inadmissible. In a court hearing, the secret witness participated remotely through a monitor, but when the defense lawyers asked him to identify the defendants from the band, he could not even point to them. A group member, Bahar Kurt, testified how she was kept in a cell similar to the cell in the film F-Type. She said, "They put me in an isolated cell. I was not given a drop of water for 24 hours. For 2 weeks, I asked for water, but was given only a quarter of a gallon for the entire time. Due to my hunger strike, I must get more than a gallon." In her statement, she also said she and members of the group requested an ambulance to be able to attend to the court hearings. However, this was denied, and they were all dragged to court in a police van. While making her defense, Bahar Kurt accused the judges for being part of a bigger organized effort to shut the group. "You are one of the reasons of the hunger strike. We are very well aware that the events are unfurling in an organized, structured, planned way. The only ruling that will come out of this court will have the aim to change our minds. The government says they alone will determine where I will go, what I will say. We are living under torture because we reject this. However, we are not giving up. We either live like human beings or we will be herded like animals. We chose to live as human beings. More than 30 of our friends have been arrested in the İdil Cultural Center. Not a single one of our friends begged for your justice. Because we are not criminals. We did not commit any crimes against our people, and our people know this very well," she said. On March 11, the police raided the home where both Helin Bölek, the singer of the group, and Ibrahim Gökçek, the bass player, stayed, and forcefully took them to the hospital. However, the musicians refused to be forcefully fed and insisted on their protests hunger strike against the Turkish government. Since they refused intervention, they were brought back home. After 288 days on hunger strike, the news came down on April 3rd that Helen had died.
Çocuklarını listelere koydunuz. Hangi hakla? Alın işte. Ne olacak şimdi? Kim verecek bunun hesabını? Hadi verebilecek misiniz? Yok. Nerede? 28 yaşında bir halk sanatçısını öldürdünüz. Katlettiniz. Ya ben ölecektim. İbrahim Gökçek, ya Helin Bölek. Elini öldürdü. Memnun musunuz? Sevgili dostlar, sevgili Grup Yorum dostları, gelin hepinizi Armutlu'ya bekliyor. Grup Yorum olarak hepinizi Armutlu'ya davet ediyoruz. Eline son yolculuğuna buradan Armutlu'dan uğurlamak istiyoruz. Burada kalabalık olalım. Burada yüzler olalım, binler olalım, 10 binler olalım, 100 binler olalım, milyonlar olalım. Ama burayı dolduralım. Grup Yorum bütün Türkiye'yi Armutlu'ya bekliyor. Bütün Türkiye'yi Armutlu'ya bekliyor. Bugün Grup Yorum'un günü. Hepinizi Armutlu'ya bekliyoruz.
Ne kadar büyük, ne kadar güzel şey varsa, insanoğulları daha ne kadar güzel şey yaratacaksa hepsi ellerimizdedir.
Güzel canlı ne varsa bizimledir. İnsanın yurdu bir kat daha kendinin olur. Toprağına suyuna karıştıkça büyür. Yaşamış sayılmaz zaten. Yurdu için ölmesini bilmeyen.
Ne kadar da ufalmış bedenim, gözyaşıma sığdın sen. Açlıklı yemiş ömrünü yavrum, ah sütümü iç kızım. Açlıklı yemiş ömrünü yavrum, ah sütümü iç kızım. Saçların beyazına mı sakladın alevini, yoksa güneş sende mi batıyor, batıyor geceleri? Yoksa güneş sende mi batıyor, batıyor geceleri? Eriyen bedenimi düşünme, gölgenin üstüne yüzünü asma kederine anam, yiğitler bitmez bizde. Yüzünü asma
Her funeral was attended by hundreds, but the police attacked the funeral and beat up the participants. Few days later, on his 324th day after starting his hunger strike, Ibrahim Gökçek too succumbed to death on May 6, 2020. His funeral was also attacked by the police. When his body was taken to his hometown for burial, the local neo-Nazis attacked the funeral and pledged they would dig up the body after the burial since he was not allowed to have his grave there. Members of the group are still under arrest, and the Turkish courts keep delaying and postponing the sessions to keep the members incarcerated, even though there is no proof, evidence, or even a credible case against the musicians. Thank you.
Uykusunda bir kuş ölür ecelsiz, alıp da başını gitmek istersin. Karanlık sokaklar, kör sağır dilsiz, bu kente yalnızlık çöktüğü zaman. Uykusunda bir kuş ölür ecelsiz, alıp da başını gitmek istersin. Karanlık sokaklar sizde. Ey sevda kuşanıp yollara düşen, bilesin bu yollar dağlar dolanır. Yâre ulaşmadan düşersem eğer, yarına sesinin yankısı kalır. Gecenin ucunda gün aralanır, yar sevdası ile yürek bilenir. Sızılı bir ırmak uğurlar seni, su olup akarsın, kır çiçeklenir. Gecenin ucunda gün aralanır, yar sevdası ile yürek bilenir. Sızılı bir ırmak uğurlar seni, su olup akarsın, tekrar sizde.